I recently moved to a new house and noticed something very weird. I was told that all the work was 100% finished, but when I went to visit the property, I saw that everything was immaculate except there weren't any switches, taps or locks in the house. When I went to the builder to collect my keys, I asked him, "You told me the house was ready to move, so why isn't it actually ready?" And what the builder said broke my heart. He said, all the workers are from Bihar and if we install these things before you move in, they might just steal it. And this stunned me because Bihar was home to Nalanda, the world's first residential university. It was the seat of the mighty Mauryan Empire. And what's even more shocking is that I experienced this prejudice against Bihar miles away from it in Mumbai. If you too visit any other high density city in India like Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, you would hear the same negative opinions. Things like people from Bihar are the worst. They migrate, they litter, they have no civic sense, they spit gutka everywhere in our cities. And this got me wondering, why has the state's image been so bad for so long, that too everywhere? What are its politicians doing? On what basis are they asking for votes? And why are the people bringing them to power despite everything that they've done that made Bihar the state it is today? And most importantly, how the misery of this one state affects you even if you don't live there. Let's dissect it, as always, with the help of data and evidence. Mind you, Bihar isn't a poverty issue. A lot of India has illiteracy and poverty, but despite that, the most absurd things keep happening only in Bihar. For instance, 2 years ago, a group of thieves dug a tunnel to a railway yard and stole components of a train part by part till the entire engine was stolen. And that's why there's a trend. The moment something absurd happens in India, we assume that it happened in Bihar, and the consequences of this assumption are scary for the people of that state. Actually, it's better if I show you. Let's play a game. I'll tell you 5 very absurd instances. You have to tell me which ones of them happened in reality in Bihar. A 60-foot metal bridge was stolen by people pretending to pose as government officials. Then a student got 151 out of 100 on an exam that he failed. Then a pond got stolen and miraculously next morning people saw land there with a house standing on top of it. A coaching class got a dancer to perform for their students during class. And finally, a group of people ran a fake police station for 8 months. I'll give you 3 seconds to guess which ones of these happened in Bihar. Comment your answers. In reality, all of them happened in Bihar. None of this was made up. Every time we hear about absurd things happening in India, we assume that it happened in Bihar, and more often than not, it does. And that breeds a cycle which leads to Bihar's people being treated terribly all across India. Now, if you're one of those people who gets mad every time someone calls out Bihar's problems, or if you think these are just stereotypes and one-off instances, let me give you some statistics and paint a picture before showing you how Bihar is governed, who it votes for, and why. It's the second most illiterate nation in the state. Only 9.2% of its population has finished 12th grade. Its gross state domestic product is 1/3 the national average. It ranks number 1 in the nation when it comes to attacks on police officers. Crime in Bihar since 2001, instead of decreasing, has steadily increased. And if that wasn't all, just take a look at the caste-based violence statistics for Bihar. And the root of the problem lies in how Bihar is governed. That is what has led to a population that has zero empathy, because frankly, its politicians do not either. Look at this man. He is Bihar's longest serving chief minister, and before you ask what he has done over the 9 terms that he served, this is what he had to say about the consequences of women being educated.
लड़की पढ़ लेती है तो हमको मालूम था कि वो करेगा ठीक है, लेकिन अंतिम में भीतर मत घुसाओ, उसको बाहर कर दो.
It's opinions like these that make you want to ask, are we in Bihar or Afghanistan? And that's just the beginning. Nitish Kumar is one of the good politicians that Bihar has to offer. Meet Pappu Yadav, a 5-time MP from Bihar who just made headlines for violating election norms. What did he do? During the election, he went to his constituency and started distributing cash openly. And that's not even the crazy part. A journalist tried asking him a question, and on camera, Pappu Yadav offered him cash to silence him. Tell me one other democratic nation where this would fly.
But that's just 2 politicians, okay? Not everyone in Bihar is like that.
72% of the entire Bihar cabinet has criminal cases pending against them. These are the people that Bihar's 74 million voters willingly vote for. But why? What are the issues that these politicians talk about? Investments, roads, progress, education? Okay, let's play a game again. I'll give you a hint. In 2024, when the JDU lost the Lok Sabha election, Bihari politician Ashok Chaudhary commented that the candidate lost not because of his promises, his strategy, or his manifesto, but purely because the Bhumihars didn't vote for him. Now I'll give you 3 seconds to comment what are the issues Bihar's politicians talk about. Surprise, surprise! Caste politics. Bhumihars, the group Ashok Chaudhary was referring to, is a caste in the region. That is all Bihar's politicians talk about. And that's how it's been for 3 decades. In 1995, when Bihar elected Lalu Yadav as its chief minister, he won on the back of a slogan, Vikas nahi, Samman chahiye, which translates to, we don't want progress, we want respect. Lalu Yadav is a lawyer. He knows that education is the easiest way to find respect, but he doesn't want his voters to know that because a huge chunk of Bihar is still uneducated. Had they known, Lalu Yadav wouldn't have been able to steal 940 crores of taxpayer money in the famous fodder scam. At the time, this amount was roughly $500 million, which Lalu Yadav said would be used to buy fodder for cattle that didn't even exist. That is what happens when voters deprioritize progress. But then something started changing in Bihar. Nitish Kumar started gaining popularity. When he first came to power, he was given the nickname Sushasan Babu, meaning a good administrator. He came from a community that made up only 2.8% of the entire state's population, but spoke about better governance, roads, getting investment, reducing crime in the state. People thought Nitish Kumar was changing things, but the reality was that he only pretended to change things while making the current situation worse. And even though that ruined Bihar, it was genius, because if you have read the book 48 Laws of Power, you would know that Law 45 states preach the need for change but never reform too much. That's exactly what Nitish Kumar did. Nitish Kumar decided to take caste politics to the next level by conducting the caste survey of 2023. He knew that he comes from a community that only makes up 3% of the entire state's population. So now he needed something that would make him the poster boy for a group of communities, including his own. And the caste survey was the perfect way to do this, because it told the population that caste would be the only determining factor when it comes to enacting policies in the state of Bihar. And this was genius because it gave him roughly 36% of the entire vote share in the state. That's about 1/3. Before you wonder what ideology Nitish Kumar preaches, I hate to break it to you, there is none. Since 1999, he has switched sides 6 times between the right-wing NDA and the left-wing UPA. This has earned him the nickname Paltu Kumar, meaning someone who flips all the time. The only strategy here is to hold on to power as long as you can by keeping the population divided. They won't ever question the debauchery going on in the state or demand real progress if they are fighting all the time. The Business Standard reported that the single determinant of election results in Bihar is caste. And think about it, when the politicians operate this way, purely in their self-interest, with zero regard for others and any empathy, what do you think happens to the population? I'll tell you what happens. It stays behind forever. Today, Bihar doesn't even have the basic infrastructure to support industry and attract investment. The Secretary General of the Bihar Chamber of Commerce said that industrial corridors require 6-lane highways to operate, but Bihar hardly has any. Until 2022, it didn't have a single unit of India's food regulator, the FSSAI. Food samples had to be sent to Kolkata for testing until then. Bihar doesn't have a functioning industry, and as a result, no one wants to invest there due to all the illiteracy and the violence. The government has built 5 airports, but they're all empty due to a lack of economic activity. You can build all the infrastructure that you like, but what would this population do there? One that always acts in self-interest, with zero empathy and votes for all the wrong reasons. And this is a vicious cycle. If there's no infrastructure, there's no investment. And if there's no investment, there are no jobs. And if there are no jobs, there is crime, law and order that leads to even worse infrastructure, and the cycle goes on and on. And this has a multiplier effect. Not only does Bihar's population suffer, you remember I told you it affects you and me even if we don't live there. Because Bihar is so backward, it receives a lot of support from the central government. For every 100 rupees it collects in taxes and sends it to the center, it receives 771 rupees in return. Which makes sense, they need it to get ahead. But this money isn't free. It comes from other states that prioritize development. Maharashtra, home to India's financial capital, only receives 6.8 rupees for every 100 that it collects in taxes. Karnataka, on the other hand, receives only 12. What does that mean? Effectively, you and I pay for the 940 crores that criminals like Lalu Yadav steal from the state of Bihar. And this leads to an even bigger vicious cycle because politicians are now incentivized to keep Bihar poor in hopes of attracting greater allocations of central funds. As a result, Bihar's elections are never about sustainable long-term solutions. They're always about freebies, even this year. From the politician's lens, it's a convenient win-win. The freebies win you elections, they keep the people poor, don't educate or empower them. And we have infinite money to do this over and over again because all these other stupid states that are focusing on developing themselves are paying for us. What an insane scheme. And you know what's even more heartbreaking? Even people from Bihar don't want to live there. More than half the state's households are exposed to migration and more than 90% of the entire nation's seasonal migrants come from there. To solve this, Bihar desperately needs to change the way it votes. The only time it would have politicians that talk about roads, development, infrastructure and investment is the day its people demand these things. The only reality where Bihar's image changes is when its people start holding its politicians accountable. And all of this starts by accepting that the state has a problem. And let me also tell you that I say all this not with the intent to create a divide or controversy, but to actually see the state improve. Bihar is a state of great historical importance, and I want this importance to be more than just historical. I want this to be a state that people are proud of and not one that they cringe at. What do you think about this? How can Bihar's problems be solved? Let me know in the comments. And if you learned something new from this video, subscribe to the channel as that's what keeps us insanely motivated. If there's any topics that you would like to see on this channel, let me know in the comments. I will make it happen. I'll see you in the next one.